We've all been there at least once as kids, back at school over the summer for some reason. Nobody around, empty classrooms, and I remember the exact feeling. It wasn't fear, it was weirder than fear, like I'd walked into a place I wasn't supposed to see. I didn't have a word for it then, but I do now. It's called a liminal space, and the reason The Backrooms is about to be the scariest movie of the year is that it weaponizes that exact feeling, the one you've had your whole life and never named. Let me tell you what's actually happening in your head. First, what The Backrooms even is, if you somehow missed it. Someone posts a photo on 4chan, empty office, yellow wallpaper, fluorescent lights, with a caption, "If you're not careful and you clip out of reality in the wrong spot, you end up here. Endless empty rooms. Forever." That's it. No monster, no story. A photo of an empty room. And it became one of the biggest horror phenomena. A photo of an empty room scared millions of people. The question this whole video answers is one word: why? Start with the photo itself. Your brain runs on prediction. This is real neuroscience. It's called predictive coding. Every room you walk into, your brain has already guessed what's supposed to be in it before you even look. The original image, it's a cropped photo of a Lego set backdrop. For real. Someone grabbed the plain background they shoot Lego sets against, posted it with no context, and accidentally created modern horror. And that word, context, is the entire key here. When the guess is right, you feel nothing. That's safety. When the guess fails, empty hallway, empty mall, your brain throws an error it can't explain. And since it can't tell you why, it just hands you dread instead. The Backrooms isn't scary because of what's there. It's scary because of what should be there and isn't. Now here's the part that genuinely messed me up when I looked into it. It's not random which places do this to you. Nature never feels liminal. A forest at night can be scary, sure, but it doesn't feel uncanny. You can be totally alone, dead silence, and it never gives you that specific glitch in your chest. You know what does? Exactly one category of place. Spaces built by humans, for humans, that suddenly have no humans in them. A forest was never supposed to have people, but an empty school? Those places only exist because of people. Take the people out and you're not left with an empty room, you're left with a corpse. A building that lost the one thing that gave it a point. Liminal spaces aren't empty rooms. They're abandoned purposes. And once you see that, you genuinely can't unsee it. There's actually a study where researchers reverse engineered this. They took normal photos and made them feel wrong on purpose and figured out the exact recipe. 5 ingredients. Remove anything personal. No clutter, no signs of a life. Repetition. Same thing over and over. Identical doors, identical lights. Things slightly misaligned, almost straight but not quite. Objects in weird spots. A chair facing a wall. A table in the middle of nothing. And the big one, 0 people. Hit all 5 and any photo turns into a liminal space. Your own bedroom, your office, doesn't matter. 5 ingredients and your brain files it under wrong. But none of that explains the weirdest part. Why does it feel familiar? You've never been to the Backrooms. It doesn't exist. So why do you look at it and go, I've been here? Because of how memory actually works. You don't store details. Your brain isn't keeping a high-res photo of every hallway you've ever walked through. That'd be insane. It keeps the feeling, the rough shape of empty school. So when you see a liminal space, it doesn't match one memory. It matches all of them at once. You feel like you've been there because in a stripped-down, low-res way, you have 1,000 times. That's why it's nostalgic and terrifying simultaneously. Your brain is firing, I know this place, and this is deeply wrong at the same time. And those two signals were never designed to go off together. Parking garage, around 11 p.m., walking to my car, flickering fluorescent light, nobody around. And I just stopped. I had this feeling I'd stepped out of my own life. Then it passed, got in the car, drove home. So dramatic. It's called clipping, glitching out of reality through a spot you weren't supposed to be in, because that feeling has a clinical name too: depersonalization, derealization. The sense that you, or the world around you, isn't quite real, and it's climbing fast in people our age, measurably. Here's the part nobody says out loud. It's not a malfunction. It's your nervous system doing exactly what it evolved to do, inside an environment it can't make sense of. The backrooms didn't invent that feeling, it just drew a picture of it. So connect the dots. Yellow institutional hallways, fluorescent lights, empty offices. Now think about where you've actually spent your life. School, then university, then the office. Open plan, fluorescent, identical desks in identical rows. We're the first generation raised almost entirely inside spaces that were designed to process people. Not for people to live in, to move them through. The backrooms doesn't scare you because it's alien. It scares you because your brain recognizes it as home. And here's why it detonated exactly when it did. Movies don't invent fears. They name fears that are already in the air. The backrooms went viral in 2020, when everyone was locked inside and the whole planet suddenly felt like an empty hallway. We all clipped out of reality at the same time, and a lot of us never fully clipped back in. That's why cottagecore exploded. Why everyone's nostalgic for the 2000s. Why people are buying cabins and romanticizing a past they didn't even live in. We're all reaching for the same thing. Anything that isn't a back room. So what do you do with this? I'm not going to pretend there's an exit. There isn't one. We can't undo the world we got built inside. But the opposite of a liminal space isn't a full room. It's a room with meaning. An empty school feels wrong because it lost its people. So the fix is almost stupidly simple. Stop leaving your own rooms empty. The same coffee shop every morning. A walk you take so often the route becomes yours. Your brain builds your entire sense of self out of places it recognizes and returns to. That's not self-help. That's just how identity forms. You're either filling rooms or you're clipping through them. The backroom scares people because it shows them something they've been living inside but never had words for. Now you have them. Life's kind of one big liminal space anyway, the hallway between being born and whatever's next. Nobody knows where the exit is, but you don't have to walk it through an empty building. But here's the thing that actually gives me hope about all this. Think about how the backrooms even happened. One person posted a photo of an empty room, and thousands of strangers looked at it and went, "Wait, I know that feeling. I've been there too." Nobody organized that. Nobody was in charge. Thousands of people who'd never met just quietly recognized the exact same thing at the exact same time. Think about how strange that is. The single most isolating image we could come up with is the one that turned out to connect millions of us. So the empty hallway was never really empty. It was full of everyone who recognized it. You were never alone in there. You were standing in the most crowded room on the internet. Everyone just facing their own wall, not realizing the others were right behind them. And maybe that's the actual way out. Not pretending the hallway isn't there, just turning around and noticing who else is in it. Where do you feel the backrooms in your own life? Put it in the comments. Let's find out if we've all been walking through the same building.